All right, so this is attempt number 2 on video number 2. I don't know why it cut me off on my first one, but it did. Okay, so we are going to look at here. This is your worksheet for today. Okay, we're going to do 4 questions. We're going to do one from each little section in here. And what I suggest, if you have a stylus pen, use it. And you can write some stuff in down here on the bottom, and that helps to show your work. If you don't have a stylus pen, it's really important for you to show your work on these, so that I can kind of see where you went wrong. If if you get a question wrong and you put the wrong numbers in, I can go back and kind of say, oh, that's where he messed up. That's where she went wrong. But if you don't include your work, I can't do that, okay? So if you don't have a stylus pen, write these out on a piece of notebook paper. And when you turn in this worksheet page and a picture of the sheet that has all your work, okay? So that way I can kind of go back and forth and give you guys some feedback, okay? We're going to start with number 2. And number 2 here is S8 plus O2 yields SO3. And this worksheet, guys, has all sorts of difficulty levels in terms of balancing equations. You go from all pretty easy to pretty difficult, throughout this worksheet, okay? When I'm setting these up, I like to write my letters here in the middle, like directly underneath of my arrow. I don't like to write them over here. But if it works for you to write them off to the side, that's perfect. I just like to write them in the middle and then kind of branch out with my numbers. Okay, so we have 8 to start with for S. We have 2 on this side. For oxygen, we have 1 for S over here, and we have 3 for oxygen on this side. So the easiest thing to do for our starting point is to get our S's, our sulfurs, to balance. 2 and 3 don't really multiply into each other very well, or at least not with one step. So we're going to put an 8 right here, and boom, that changes my S to 8. Awesome. But that also changes my oxygens. Okay, so I'm no longer at 3 oxygens over here. This 3 applies just to this O. It does not go to the S, just to the oxygen. So now I have 8 times 3 oxygens, which is 24. Okay, so now on my right side of the reaction, I have 24 oxygens and 8 sulfurs. On the left, I have 8 sulfurs and 2. So I need to put a number here in this blank to get from 2 up to 24 using multiplication. Boom, 12. So then I got 12 on the left. Or sorry, no, I don't have 12 on the left. I have 24 on the left. 12 times 2 is 24. 8 times 3 is 24. I've got 8 and 8 for S. I got 24 and 24 for O. My numbers are good, okay? Your answer is this. Now, what I want you to do when you see blanks like this, if you have the number 1 that goes in there and you haven't written in another number, I want you to fill in 1 on your worksheets, okay? That tells me when I'm grading it that you didn't just skip it, okay? So make sure that you fill in a 1 for these blanks, even if, if there's only 1 of that molecule. Now, if you were to write this out as the actual reaction in an equation, it would not have a number in front of it. You wouldn't put the 1. It's an understood 1. But for the purposes of balancing and grading, you need to fill in a 1. Okay? So there's number 2. I'd say this is probably on the easier level for this worksheet. Okay, so let's clear all this out, and we're gonna do another one. Let's do number 7. 7's kind of a tough one here, so it's a little high level, but that's okay. That's a good thing. So we have Si2H3. As you guys do more of these balancing equations problems and you get kind of used to the process, you may start to pick up on some patterns and some trends that help you to solve these problems a little quicker and a little easier. If that's the case, great, go for it. If you get to the point on an easy one that you don't have to write out your work, you don't have to write this number tree out all the way, great, go for it, okay? But you also have to keep in mind that if you do that, I don't have anything to go off of for feedback. All I see is numbers, okay? So I can't say, oh, that's where you went wrong, you should have put a 3 there instead of a 2. All I see is your answer, and I can't really give you any feedback, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. Kind of a mental puzzle that we're trying to work through here, okay? Okay, so we've got Si2H3 and oxygen O2 reacting to form SiO2 and water, okay? So oxygen on my right-hand side appears twice. We have it right here, and we have it right here. So we're going to save oxygen until the very end, all right? We're going to try and do the Si and the H first, and then we'll get to the oxygen later, okay? So the easiest place to start is probably Si on this side. We can put a 2 right here, change that to 2, and now my 2's are balanced for now, right? My Si is good. Now I've also changed my oxygen number. So I've got 2 times 2 plus 1, so that's 4 plus 1, so this 3 changes up to a 5. Okay, so I've changed my oxygens. I just need to kind of keep track of the oxygens as I go, and then we'll try to balance them at the very end. So next comes H. I've got 3 H's on this side, 2 on this side. One thing to think about is lowest common multiple or least common multiple, if you remember that term from math class, right? So the least common multiple between 3 and 2 is 6. So I want to try and get these numbers up to 6. In order to do that, I need a 2 right there. 2 times 3 gives me 6. And then I need a 3 over here. 3 times 2 gives me 6. Okay, now I've changed other things, right? So my H's are good, but now my Si is not good. I've got 4, 2 times 2. Okay, so I need to just account for that change. Then my oxygens over here, I have 3 plus 4. So now this becomes 7. Okay, so 3 plus 4 is 7. So my H's are good, my Si is not good, my O is not good. So then I go back to Si. We save oxygen for the end here. So back to Si. I got 4 coming from over here. So I'm going to change this number from a 2 up to a 4. Okay, boom, that changes that. It's also changing my oxygen, right? So now I just got to keep track of it. So 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3. Now I have 11 oxygens over here. My Si is good. My H is good. My O is not. Okay, so now comes oxygen. And if you notice, if you pick up on patterns and trends, this one, my whatever number I put in over here has to be an even number, right? Whatever I multiply by 2 is going to end up being an even number. 11 is odd. So now what? Okay, so this is where we take this difficulty up a notch. Okay, if this was like 10 or 12 over here on the right, it'd be really easy. You just put a 5 or a 6 there. Okay, but it's obviously not a 10 or a 12. So we're going to take 11, that's my number right here, divided by 2. That's going to give me 5.5. Okay, so if I did 5.5 right here, that would make this number, 5.5 times 2, that would be 11. Okay, and my numbers would match, right? 11 on the left, 11 on the right. Cool. But I can't have a 0.5. If you've ever seen chemical equations written out, you've never seen a 0.5 as a coefficient. Okay, so you can't do it. You just can't. I can multiply though. If we talk about math, right? If you do something to one side, you got to do it to the other to make everything stay equal. If I want to get rid of this 0.5, I can multiply it by 2. If I multiply by 2 here, I get 11, right? So I'm going to take this whole equation, and these numbers, my coefficients, are going to get multiplied times 2. Okay, so this 2 here becomes a 4. This 5.5 becomes 11. This 4 becomes an 8. This 3 becomes a 6. And now, if you do the math, I'm not going to step through it all the way, but this 4 becomes 8, this 6 becomes 12, this 11 becomes 22, and same over here, 8, 12, and 22. So all I did is multiply everything by 2 just to get rid of my fraction. Okay, and so your answer for this one is 4, 11, 8, and 6. There's your answer for number 7. Okay, that's that fraction part where we got that 0.5. That's the kind of tricky part for that question. Let's go number 14 here. Yeah, let's see. It's all right. So number 14. Trying to erase, it's not catching all of the things that I need to erase. Okay, so number 14, we have H2O2 is going to decompose here. So this is a breakup reaction into H2O and O2. Okay, oh, more arrows here. So I've only got 2 things. I've got H and O. I start with 2 of each on this side. I have 2 H's on this side, but I only have 3 oxygens over there. So in order to fix this, first I need to look at oxygens, right? My H's are good. I don't need to touch them to start with, but I do need to do my oxygens. Now, you might be thinking, like we did on the last one, oh, let's just do the least common multiple and multiply this one by 3 and this one by 2, but oh, hey, I've got 2 sources, right? 2 sources of oxygen. Now, if I put a 2 here, that changes this to 4. That changes this to 4. And now think about what it's going to happen. What's going to happen to everything else? What's going to make my life easiest? I don't want to change this number. Let's change this number. Okay, let's leave my O2 alone by itself for now. If I put a 2 right here, then that balances my H's. That gives me a 4. Okay, and that's what I'm looking for there, 4. It also gives me 2 oxygens from this oxygen source, and then I can add the 2 over here. Boom, 4. Look at that. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so my answer here for number 14 is 2, 2, and 1. Nice and simple. Okay. I'm almost out of time on my video, so we're going to leave it at just these 3. Okay, so we did number 2, we did number 7, and we did number 14. 2, look at that, 2 times 7 equals 14. I'm a genius. Okay, so I want you guys to do as much of this as you can on your own. Okay, and I know that some of this is new to people, and balancing equations is one of those things where it can be pretty difficult to some people, and some people get it right away and they just fly and they go, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with it coming as a challenge. Okay, so if you get it and you go, just go. Okay, just make sure you're doing it the right way. If it's a little bit of a challenge, that's okay. I'll be back to school someday, so I can help you guys out. Okay. But this is your assignment. Get as much of it done as you can. Remember to take a picture if you write out your work on notebook paper. Take a picture as you turn it in. Okay? All right. Good luck, guys. See you soon.